Welcome back, viewers. We are going to see one more video in the Python series, which is about how to write the functions in Python, along with how we can pass arguments to the function, what is variable length argument, what is keyword arguments, what is variable length keyword arguments. So all this we are going to see in this particular video, right? So let's start. The first question that I have is why we need to write the function, right? Because we have seen if you write just step by step instructions of Python, we will be able to achieve something, right? So basically the usage of function is that, let's say we have some set of functionality that you want to reuse every now and then. That is where the functions will be important. Otherwise, if you don't have a functions, in that case, what will happen if you want to run a specific functionality, you need to write every now and then whenever it is required. But if you have it as a function, we can reuse. We can just call that function and we'll get it executed, right? So let's see how we can write the function in Python. So basically, to write a function in Python, we use a def keyword, and we can have some function name. So this is a function I'm just adding the function name as an addition, and then we can have any number of arguments. So just understand here, I'm not adding any data type to the variables. Okay, as we already discussed that Python is a dynamic language. We don't need to add any data type along with the variable. So whatever data you pass, your variable will become of that type, right? So now whatever the statements that we want to add as a part of the function, we have to just specify under some indentation, right? So this is a simple addition function. So what I can do is I can just do, let's say c is equal to x plus y. So this will do the addition. And then if you want, you can just return the addition of this function, right? So this is how your simple function will look like. Now, if you want to call this function, how you can call? You have to just specify the function name and some arguments. So this function expecting 2 arguments, so we can pass 2 arguments, right? So if I execute, you can see this addition function is returning the addition of these 2 numbers, right? Now, the next thing is we have seen if we just apply the help function on any function. Okay, so if you use this help, it gives what this function is doing, right? What this function is doing. So now it is not showing any help because we have not added any function, right? Still now we have imported, we have seen modules and packages where if we apply the dir and help function, it shows, first of all, if you use the dir, it will list out all the functions under any specific module. And then under that module, if you want to just use any specific function, we can just use the help to get more information about that function, right? So if our addition function, someone else wants to use it, how that other developer will get to know about my function, what this particular function is doing, what is the input, what is the output. So for that, we need to add the something called as a docstring. So let me just reuse this function. So if you want to tell what this function is doing to other developer, whoever is reading your code, there is something called as a docstring. We can add it. So that docstring is added into the triple quotes. Okay, so here you can add this function is returning the addition of x and y, right? So this is how you can give the description about this function, right? So now if I just call this function, okay, if I use now help on the addition function, you will see that now we are getting thus help information about the function. So if someone else is using this function, he will be able to understand what this function is doing, right? But one more thing we need to consider here is that this docstring should be the first statement of your function. Okay, if you just put it somewhere else, let's say I'm adding another statement here, let's say test. Now this is not the docstring. Now this will be considered as a multi-line comment for your function, right? So this will be considered as a multi-line comment for your function, right? So if I just run it now, and now if I try to get the help, you can see it is not showing a help. Why so? Because this particular docstring is not the first statement. If it is not the first statement, that will be considered as a multi-line comment. So make sure you are adding at the first line, right? So let's check it again. This time you can see we have this as a help, right? So this is how simply function you can write it. The next thing that we are going to see is about variable length arguments, right? So now we have our addition function. So we are passing two arguments. It is simply returning the addition of two numbers. But what if, let's say I want to add three numbers, right? In that case, what you need to do is you just need to go and modify your function implementation, something like this, x, y, z. And then in the addition, you can do x plus y plus z, right? So this will work, right? So every now and then, if you want to add another number or add another variable, you just need to go and modify the implementation. So this is not a feasible way, right? So this is not a feasible way to go and modify every now and then. So that is where variable length argument is a very very popular or very useful thing to know in Python, right? So how we do this? So basically, whatever function we are writing, we have to write the same way. Only thing is, instead of writing multiple arguments, you have to just use star, and then we need to specify the any variable now. The standard or the people usually use the star args. Okay, args is just a variable name. If you want, you can just use anything else. Now, if we have this kind of a function, now if you just pass any number of argument, okay, whether you pass, so basically star means 0 or more. So if you pass 0 argument, that's perfectly fine. If you pass multiple argument, that's also perfectly fine. So basically what happens is, when you use the star here, whatever data is coming in the function call, let's say 10, 20, 30, whatever is coming, everything will be converted into one tuple, and that tuple will be stored into the star args. Okay, this tuple will be stored as a star args. And then once you get the tuple, we already know how to parse the tuple, right? Let me first print it. You can see print args. Even I'll just print the type of that variable, so we'll get to know what is the type of variable. And then what we can do is we can just have some variable, let's say add is equal to 0, and then I'll just simply use a for loop, because we know once you get the any data as a tuple, how we can perform operations. So I'll just use a for loop, and then I'll do the addition like add plus equal to x. So this will do the addition, and then finally we can just return that. So now this is your kind of a generic addition function. So if you pass any number of argument, your function will work perfectly fine. So you can see I'm passing the 3 argument, we got the addition at 60. Okay, you can see this args printed as well as the tuple. Okay, now if I pass 2, that's also perfectly fine. Even if I don't pass anything, still it will be fine, it will not complain, right? So this is how your variable length argument works. So if you want to use the variable length argument, just use a star and some variable name. So whatever you are passing from here, it will be considered as a tuple. Okay, whatever number of values you are passing, everything will be converted into one tuple, and that tuple will be stored in this args, right? So this is, we call it as a variable length arguments in Python. I hope everyone is clear with this. The next topic that we are going to discuss in this video is keyword arguments. So what is the use of keyword arguments? So let me write one simple function. Let's say if I have a function called display, and it is expecting 2 arguments, let's say name and age, right? So this is name and age it is expecting, and I am just printing, let's say f, and I'm just printing my name is, and I'm just using the variable as a name, and age is, I'll be using something like this. So this is my simple function. If I just call this display function, I'll just pass my name, and I'll also pass my age, right? So this is how I'm specifying. So if I just call it, it's perfectly fine, everything is running fine. But now let me just do small change here. What I'll do, instead of passing 30 first, I'll just pass 30 as a second, I'll just pass 30 as a first argument. So now if I run it, you can see program is not at all complaining. But if we call this function, we are not getting expected output. Why so? Because as Python is a dynamic language, whatever you pass, your variable will take that value, right? So we pass 30, 30 stored in a name, and the name that is Rajendra we pass, that is taken by the age, right? So Python will not complain. Whatever you pass, that will be taken as is, right? So this is where keyword arguments will be helpful, right? This is where keyword arguments will helpful. So how keyword argument works? So basically what we need to do is, so basically this problem, why this is problem is happening, because Python is a dynamic language. So whatever you pass, variable will take it, right? So if you make it correct, what you need to do is you need to remember the sequence of function definition. Like, okay, first name is there and then age is there. So while calling, we have to call that order. Okay, if you just miss the order, you will not get the output correctly. So that is where you can use a keyword argument that will fix your problem. So how it works, keyword argument? So basically, whatever data you are specifying, you have to just specify with the key, right? So how you specify? Let's say age you want to pass, so you can just do age. In fact, in the calling, age is equal to 30, and then name is equal to Rajendra, right? So this is how you can pass it. Now, even if the sequence is not correct, what will happen? This whatever key we are using here and the key available as a function argument in the display, those will be matched and the values will be assigned. So age will be matched to this age, and this 30 will be assigned to that. Name will be matched to this name, and then Rajendra will be assigned to that, right? So this is something we call it as a keyword argument, because we are assigning some key to the argument, and then according to that key, this particular argument is getting matched, right? So this is something we call it as a keyword argument. Now we have another topic that we call it as a variable length keyword arguments. Variable length, length keyword arguments. Okay, keyword args. Now what is meant by variable length keyword arguments? Now again, the problem remains same, right? So if you have now multiple keyword arguments, so again you need to go back and change the definition. So instead of that, what we can do in the definition is simple change we need to do is display. Now instead of using all the argument, you can just use double star, and then the standard word variable we use add a KWRs. Okay, you can use any other variable name as well, but yeah, usually everyone uses that, so that's why we need to use double star. And basically what happens now, whatever number of arguments you are passing while calling, that really doesn't matter, that will be converted into the dictionary. Okay, and let me just print it for now. Print KWRs, right? So this is how your function will look like, and then this is how we call it, right? So now it really doesn't matter when you are calling with 2. You can see dictionary is printing. If I'm just calling one more variable, let's say company is equal to, let's say ABC. If we call it, that is also working. So it really doesn't matter how many keyword arguments you are specifying, because whatever you pass, it will be converted into the dictionary. And once we get the dictionary, right? Once you get the dictionary, we already know how to parse the dictionary, right? You can just simply do key comma val in KWRs dot items. So this will give us key value, individual key value, and I can just go and print it for now. Okay, so key comma val, that's it. So if I just run this function now, you will get all this value individually. So it really doesn't matter you are specifying 2 argument, 3 argument, 4 argument, doesn't matter. Okay, you can see for everything it is working, right? So this is how your keyword arguments and variable length keyword arguments, right? So that's it for this video. If you're liking this video, don't forget to like, subscribe the channel. Thanks everyone.